So today we'll be going over a decision by WWE that has some tension rising among the superstars and among the fans. The decision was the Raw Women's Championship #1 contenders match. Becky Lynch recently had to vacate the title, and the title went to Asuka. No one had any issue with that at all. It's well-deserved and makes perfect sense. Where the major problem comes in is with the #1 contenders match. Out of the entire WWE Raw Women's roster, WWE probably came up with one of the worst lineups for a triple threat match. WWE advertised Natalya versus Nia Jax versus Charlotte Flair to determine the #1 contender. When I first saw this announcement, I had to take another look and make sure I was reading everything correctly. These three to determine the #1 contender, something wasn't right with at least two of those competitors. We always try to give WWE the benefit of the doubt when it comes to most things, but all fans can agree that this was a flat-out horrible decision. Let's break it down step by step on why this match makes no sense at all. Let's start off with Natalya. Natalya is a legend and will be inducted into the Hall of Fame one day, but in sports and in wrestling, it's all about, what have you done for me lately? And when you look at Natalya's past few weeks on Raw, and even the last few months, there's just no way to justify her being one of the top 3 contenders for the Raw Women's title. Going back to April, Natalya was featured in the WrestleMania kickoff show, where she lost to Liv Morgan. Natalya disappeared for weeks after that, then started up a little rivalry with Shayna Baszler. Shayna and Natalya had a few matches which resulted in Natalya taking multiple losses. So after a whole month of losing, if WWE can explain how Natalya found herself as one of the top 3 contenders for the Raw Women's title, it'll be greatly appreciated, because we have no clue how she made it into the #1 contenders match. This is a criticism that WWE faces all the time, and that's the fact wins and losses don't have any impact and doesn't mean anything in the WWE. You take a look over at AEW, for example, and they do a phenomenal job of making it feel like every single match means something and has so much purpose because of how strictly they manage wins and losses. An AEW wrestler's win and loss record is always displayed on their entrance graphic, so viewers can get an immediate idea of what this star is about. If their records say 10 wins, 0 losses for 2020, then right away you should figure that this is a top-tier talent. And with a record like that, he's possibly really close to a championship opportunity. Then if you see a talent with a 5 wins, 5 losses record, then you should automatically know that this is a middle-tier superstar, and they're not even close to a title opportunity. AEW even has weekly rankings that allows fans to view the live leaderboards of the entire locker room, and they can see who's climbing up the chart and who's falling down. WWE did have a version of this with their power rankings, but once again, it's pointless to view it because WWE never takes those rankings into consideration and never puts them to good use. So that's the big difference on how AEW and WWE handles wins and losses. In AEW, wins and losses mean the world, and if you get a title opportunity, it means that you've been grinding a lot of wins for several weeks. But in WWE, it's completely pointless, and this is why so many matches on Raw and Smackdown feel empty at times as well. They just serve no purpose. In WWE, you can have a superstar that's on a long winning streak be ignored and replaced in a #1 contenders match with someone like Natalya, who's coming off a whole bunch of losses. Just doesn't make any sense. So let's get into the other superstar in this match that doesn't belong in this spot, and that's Charlotte Flair. We just talked a few days ago on how far WWE has been pushing Charlotte Flair lately as this main and special attraction. Charlotte has been featured lately on all 3 shows of Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, and it's been alright. It's interesting to see how Charlotte Flair has a role and small storyline in each show. On Raw, Charlotte usually picks up non-stop wins, week after week. On NXT, Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley have been building to something happening there. And on SmackDown, Charlotte has been having some issues with Bayley and Sasha. So that's definitely a large dose of Charlotte Flair across all 3 shows. But it was okay, because she was serving a purpose in each show. Where I think WWE crossed the line was inserting Charlotte Flair into the #1 contenders match for the Raw Women's Championship. Going back to our talk about wins and losses, Charlotte Flair does have a lot of wins on Raw. So I guess you could argue that she belongs there. But I think what disqualifies Charlotte, in my eyes, is that she's the current NXT Women's Champion. Sure, she's still technically a Raw superstar, but shouldn't all her focus, attention, and story building be over on NXT, the brand that she's the champion of? Let's just say Charlotte becomes #1 contender for the Raw title. Now she'll have to be going through 2 feuds at the same time with Asuka and the NXT women's roster. It just doesn't make sense. She's already a champion. Let all her focus be on defending the title she already has and put someone else in that spot. We completely get it. Charlotte is the #1 face of the division for WWE. We don't need her in every single title match across all the brands to prove that. That brings us to Nia Jax, the third competitor in the match, and I actually have no problem with Nia Jax being in this match. Nia is still fresh off her return and hasn't competed for the Raw Women's title in well over a year. Nia was even supposed to face Becky Lynch at Money in the Bank and get her title match there, but of course Becky's pregnancy stopped that match from ever taking place. So Nia, she's fine. She has the right to be in that match. But it's Natalya and Charlotte that just doesn't fit in. This match does seem a bit predictable as well, with Nia Jax possibly winning. We even saw Nia already confront Asuka, so we're definitely on our way to a Nia Jax vs. Asuka match. Natalya is probably in this match just to take the pin because we definitely know Charlotte isn't taking the pin. So when you put it like that, I guess you see why WWE put Natalya in the match. She's not there because she's a top contender in the division. She's there to take the pin. This is a great time to remind you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. A large percentage of our viewers are not even subscribed, so take a second to click that subscribe button. Let's get back into the story. The logical triple threat match here would have been Shayna Baszler, Liv Morgan, and Nia Jax. It would have been an absolute perfect matchup. Nia is still fresh, Liv Morgan is a really fresh face in the title picture, since she's never been there before, and Shayna still feels like she was robbed at WrestleMania, so they all have their case. Shayna is another one that's been on a ruthless winning streak, and she's not even considered a top 3 contender for the title. But I assume the problem with that triple threat lineup is that someone will have to eat the pin, and WWE can't afford Liv Morgan and Shayna to take that loss right now. We may also know the reason on why Shayna was snubbed from the title picture as well. It's been a small rumor for months now that Vince McMahon isn't the biggest fans of Shayna Baszler and has been holding her back. Let's just take a look at those examples. Shayna was supposed to win the Royal Rumble, but that changed to Charlotte. Shayna was supposed to win at WrestleMania. That changed to Becky retaining. Shayna was then supposed to win Money in the Bank briefcase, but that was changed at the last second as well. So just so many big wins that were taken away from Shayna at the last second. And it really looks like all those results really supports the rumor that Shayna doesn't have Vince McMahon's full support. Shayna had so many wins taken away, and even on a hot winning streak, she can't even make the cut for a triple threat match. So things are a bit tough for Shayna right now. In conclusion, we get it. WWE probably didn't want to waste 3 top contenders in this match, so that's why they filled it out with Charlotte and Natalya. But there's just so much fresh talent back there on Raw that could use the opportunity more than Natalya and Charlotte. You have Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Zelina Vega, Liv Morgan, Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, and so much more talent that could have really done well with that opportunity. Even if they have to take the loss, it's still possible to stick out to fans and get WWE to notice you, even in a loss. So why not just give that opportunity to them? Even Liv Morgan reacted to the match announcement on Twitter by saying, "How fun," which we can agree was most likely meant in a sarcastic manner. But what are your thoughts on this situation? Do you think Natalya and Charlotte Flair belong in this match? Leave your comments. Don't forget to subscribe with notifications on. And leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.